play every single time something happens to your body. This only comes to play in certain situations, which we will discuss right now. So, oops, actually, I should probably redirect. Again. Innate is non-specific. Adaptive is specific. Okay? Specific. Okay? So now we're going to specific. Cool. There's so much. I wish we had more than just sweet. Go on. Your immune system is incredible, and it loves you, by the way. Okay, here we go. Okay. So adaptive immunity. This is when a defense is mounted against a specific antigen. Okay? An antigen. Remember, antigen is a molecule that activates the immune system. Okay? In other words, it's like your body's like, ah, what the heck is that? You know, what the crap? You know? An antigen, it's just a molecule. Is it always dangerous? No, not necessarily, but it's just that your body doesn't recognize it. Remember, an antigen is that thing on the outside of a cell, because they're just there for recognition factors, right? And it's just sitting outside, and if your body doesn't know it, right, it's going to activate it. It's an antigen, okay? What does this say? They should be molecules, yeah, they're not normally present in the body, and so they're presumed as bad in your body, right? Your body thinks of this as bad. You can think of some ways when sometimes it's not necessarily bad, like gluten, right? Not necessarily bad, but some people, right, when the antigen comes into their body from that, some people are like, ah! Or like, I am really allergic to animals, so like dog or something like that. Like if I breathe in any kind of thing like that, right, my body will create a response to attack, right? Okay, so here we have, okay, specific lymphocytes, okay? Remember, a lymphocyte is an agranulocyte. Remember, it is one of those main ones one of the main leukocytes that we talked about. It's only activated by a specific antigen, all right? Let's do this again. This specific lymphocyte, in this example, is blue. So it's only going to be activated by the blue antigen, right? As you can see, this lymphocyte over here is not going to be activated by the blue, okay? By this specific one. It's very specific. Okay, that's the new word of the day. If this was Sesame Street, that would be like our main word today. Specific, okay? Specific lymphocytes, only activated by specific antigens, okay? Again, showing the other one, right? The red activated the red, not the blue, okay? So in other words, you have cells, you have lymphocytes going through your blood right now, right? That are looking for specific antigens that have been there in the past, or maybe after you have a virus or something, they make it to protect you in the future. But we'll talk about that. Okay, here we go. So adaptive, okay. Once activated, once they see the bad guy, right, or the threat, right, they immediately start to multiply. They create more and more of themselves, okay? They create to that way, what does this say? Sorry, my wording, I'm gonna read this. Once activated, they multiply and mount a defense. There we go, to mount a defense against their target. So the moment they sense that antigen, okay, it's called interleukin, but a certain chemical is released that starts the reproduction, okay? And then after the response, some cells are kept. Memory cells, so that way they can remember that from then on, right? From then on. When we talked about the blood, I talked about the RH antigen, right? That the body thought is bad, so it's going to kill it, right? And so the RH antigen, afterwards, like when my body was going to have another, if it was going to have another baby, and if that baby would have had the RH antigen on their red blood cells, my body, without RhoGAM, would have created memory cells in defense of that. So the moment my body has this other, or starts to create this other baby, my body will recognize it as a threat, okay? Because it creates that memory, right? So if the body is re-exposed to the same antigen later, they mount a quick response, and it will destroy the pathogen before it can cause a disease, Okay, immunity. That's what it is, destroying the pathogen before it can cause a disease. 2, like very broad for this class, but we're going to stick with just these 2, okay? Types of lymphocytes, B cells and T cells, okay? You don't need to know where they are, but just in case you were curious, right? The B starts in the bone marrow, the T in the thymus, okay? But B cells and T cells, B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes. On Monday, when the question asks what the two lymphocytes are, you will definitely need to say B cells and T cells, okay? So first we're going to talk about B cells. Time goes so fast in this class. So first we're going to talk about B cells, okay? Here we go. So the B cells, they have a very main role, which we talked about a few times in the blood already, but B cells are antibody producers, anti-birthday, not anti-birthday. They are antibody, okay? Antibody producers. Actually, it's not. Sorry. Antibodies. It's not one. Why? Wow, it's a good thing I don't teach English. Okay, antibodies producers, okay? That's what B cells do. B cells produce antibodies. We're going to go into a little bit more of detail here. Here we go. Antibodies, okay? It's a protein, again, that B cells make, and they release it into the blood. An antibody, you can literally think of it like Star Wars, this like the creator guy people, but then they're like looking down at all the like white soldiery people. I'm sorry, I can't think of all the names, but they're all like in white outfits.
Stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers, thank you. I appreciate that, yeah. So literally you can think of antibodies as like the stormtroopers, the ones sent out to do the work. The B cells are like the makers, right? Like in the cloning movies or something, right? The B cells are the makers, but these are like the stormtroopers. They're the soldiers that are sent out in all the blood to search, okay? And what's extremely important about antibodies is they are very specific. And here we go. Every B cell will make only one type of antibody, okay? One type of antibody, and it has one type of antigen that it will bind to. So in other words, you have a lot of different kind of B cells in your body, all right, okay? Only specific antigens. Each B cell will make a certain one, okay, a certain antigen. You know, we're going to say this I don't know, I don't have anything specific for you, but it only will bind to one, whatever is going to fit to this so perfectly. Again, every B cell makes one type of antibody that has one type of antigen binding site and will only attach to one type of antigen, okay? On Monday, if that question is mixed up at all, right, if like 4 B lymphocytes or right, just understand it's very particular, very individual, specific, that word is your favorite, okay? All right, so like this example here, right, antibodies, right, they will attach to the antigens and they will group them together, okay? They're kind of like sticky, you can say, okay? They'll stick them all together, whatever threat it is, whatever antigen it is here, they'll stick it, and they literally send a chemical out, and they send a call out, and then those neutrophils and those macrophages come in to eat. Okay, they're just like it's like the stormtroopers, they just hold them or something, and something comes and eats them, like, I don't know, a beast from Star Wars or something. Okay, so here we go. Antibodies, they do 4 different things. On your final exam, on your final practical, this is the answer to your bonus question, FYI. So this is the one I ask every time. I say, antibodies have a plan of action. What is it? And all I need you to tell me is these 4 words. So FYI, yeah, there's your bonus 4 points for your practical. But here we go. The first thing that they do, okay, they have a plan of action. So we'll go from the P. Precipitation, okay? The first thing they do is they attach on, okay? They're like sticky. They attach onto things, and they can attach onto liquids or solid kind of things, okay? So precipitation, meaning they attach on to any kind of dissolved, any kind of antigen particle, okay? They attach onto, so precipitation. They attach on, they stick, they hold it there, and they call out for Here we go, macrophage, neutrophil, to eat it. Remember, it's like that jelly guy. He's like, moo, and he puts it inside of him, and it gets dissolved, right? And next, they perform lysis, okay? They perform lysis. So looking here at this picture, antibodies, remember we talked about complement proteins? Antibodies call them in. Complement proteins, all these little proteins just hanging out in the blood, antibodies, okay, call them in and get them to assemble and make holes. So they lysis. So they split holes in bad guy cells, okay? It is so cool to see this. I want to find a thing to show how it works. It's so cool. Our bodies are the best, okay? So lysis, cell splitting, okay? And then, of course, agglutination. Okay, agglutination right here. So this is the same thing as precipitation, except for it's like not liquidy, not dissolved kind of form. It's like a solid, okay? So like a bacteria or something, okay? Again, they just group it together and send out a signal saying, we have a treat for you. And the macrophage comes and eats it. Or they can do something called neutralize, okay? So what they do is they literally attach onto a bacteria and they neutralize it so it cannot reproduce. And they hang on to it until again something is called to eat it, okay? So if they're not going to group it together, they'll just block it. They'll block it from communicating, block it from reproducing, okay? And they do this again, viruses, bacteria, everything, okay? Antibodies, you love your antibodies. You want them. They're very beneficial, very, very beneficial, okay? So, just to let you know, in your body you have B lymphocytes that are actually pre-programmed by your genes to protect you from specific, right? From specific antigens, okay? So you already have it in you. When you were born, you already had an immunity, right? It was already there from your genes, okay? And then, okay, so then what happens here? Antigens bind to the receptors, they stimulate the cell division, remember? Okay, so, and again, B cells make antibodies. So a B cell, here I have a B cell, okay? And what it does is it doesn't necessarily pump out antibodies itself. Instead, it will reproduce into two different types. These cells right here are called plasma cells. And these guys pump out the antibodies. These are my really good drawings of antibodies, okay? B cells also will split into memory cells. And this is just so they can remember it. That way next time they see a bad guy, they can immediately split, right? They can immediately split and then go into pumping in these Y guys, right? Our antibodies, okay? So plasma cells and memory cells, okay? Plasma cells and memory cells. Okay, here we go. I'm going to re-say what I just told you, only in picture form, because we have to repeat ourselves a lot in this class. All right, here we go. Clonal selection. So here we have our B cell here, okay? And here we have what's called a helper T cell, which we'll talk about, okay? But a helper T cell does something as it takes a piece of a bad guy cell. So you just ate someone coughed a ton and you walked right into their cough and you took the bacteria in you. There you go. Okay. All right. So your helper cell, right, your T cells, they took a little piece of it. Okay? They ate the cell, but then they kept a little piece so you could remember it. Okay? The antigen fragment, and they showed it to your B cell. Your B cell immediately, right, with the help of interleukin, right, immediately it's going to start to divide because it's something it doesn't recognize. It needs to create a defense. So immediately it will start to divide. And again, it will create plasma cells, and plasma cells pump out antibodies, and it will create a couple memory cells, okay? A couple memory cells. So what is the benefit of this? Why, like how is this faster? Well, next time, your B cells aren't gonna have to wait to be told something's here, you need to replicate and create these. This time, the moment an antigen is sensed, right? It's sensed, boom, and then immediately the antibodies get created. So it's just a huge step skip, which we'll talk about, okay? But again, your B cell senses something new, right? Immediately it starts cloning with the help of interleukin. Interleukin. I was just looking at your exam, and I used that term a couple times. Interleukin, right, is that chemical that stimulates the division of the B cells, okay? And the B cells will divide into plasma, which makes the antibodies, or memory cells, which keeps a record of it, okay? And the antibodies will go and fight, okay? So here's an example of why creating an immunity is so very beneficial, okay? So you've had your first exposure to antigen A. Some kind of new antigen your body doesn't know, but it perceives it as a threat, okay? So antigen A, so here, a day 0. And if it's a bad guy, right, if it's a bacteria or something, it's going to start to replicate and start to kind of maybe hurt your body, but it's going to take it a couple days, okay? It's not necessarily day 0. So you start to notice it around day 7, all right? And this is the primary response right here, around day 7. And then your body's going to start to create some kind of fight for it, okay? It's going to start to replicate and create, the B cells and the antibodies. It's going to start to fight, okay? This way, and it's going to create an immunity. This way, by day 28, then you're kind of completely, you're done. You made it. Your body made an immunity for it. It protected you. Your first time getting a disease, it's a little bit more severe, right? It's a bit more severe. But as you can see here, right, if you expose yourself to some kind of, if we're exposed to some kind of piece of the antigen, okay, and your B cell knows it, immediately, very fast, that response will be able to be created, and immediately it will be able to fight it off. So that honestly is the purpose of vaccines, okay? Because as you can see, instead of it taking, like 2 weeks you're giving your body a whole week first off in the beginning for that bacteria to get strong. But if it's just immediately in you, your body's going to recognize it and immediately fight it off much quicker. So you're building an immunity without giving that live bacteria the chance to kind of come at you. So that's the purpose of vaccines. That is why they're so important, especially for things like measles and stuff like that, right? For dangerous diseases. So, I'm not gonna get all the way through, but that's okay. Okay, so again, here we go. So when talking about exposure, about when building immunity, this is really important. You can get immunity naturally, okay? You can get immunity, you can be exposed to the pathogen. But again, if you're exposed to that live pathogen, your body takes about a week to even know it's there. So it's gonna kind of start to, give your body a little bit of hell, right? It's gonna start to attack it, okay? So your body will still create antibodies, but it could hurt your body a little bit more depending what it is, right? Especially if we're talking like polio or stuff like that, right? Those kind of ones, you don't want to give a week of polio, right? You don't want to give it any chance. And then you have artificially acquired, where instead now, the polio antigen, they just take a little piece of it, right? And by putting it in your blood, your body immediately creates B cells and memory cells for it, right? It immediately creates this for it, and it doesn't let them get strong again. It doesn't let it take place again, okay? So either artificially or required, or there is passive immunity, okay? 2 different types. First off, okay, naturally acquired, where you just get the straight antibodies, okay? A mother nursing her child in the beginning, okay, she in her breast milk is just tons and tons of antibodies. That little baby doesn't even have to make them or go through the process because her mom is just pumping it into that little baby. The other kind of passive, straight antibodies. Active, meaning your body has to make the antibodies and create the immunity. Passive is it's just sending those white guys right in to fight. Okay? Here we have artificially acquired, okay? Artificially acquired is something like this. If you get a snake bite, don't do it, but if you do, and it's a venomous snake bite, the moment that venom gets into, it starts to kill the cells. It's crazy intense. Your body does not have a week to create immunity. So what do you have to do? You have to go get an anti-venom. Literally, it's antibodies. They literally shoot that doesn't sound right. They don't shoot you. You know, you got it.
Inject.
Right? Inject, thank you, that's the word. I appreciate that, thank you.
I'm the doctor now.
They inject antibodies straight into your blood, and as you can see here, right, the time right here, was killed, but luckily the antibodies were able to fight here, right, and were able to protect the rest here, right? So that's the point of any kind of anti-venoms. They're literally pumping in the antibodies, because the antibodies, again, those are the fighters. Those are the ones that stop it. Those are the ones that do all the work, right? So again, back here, you can have passive immunity, where you just get straight antibodies to immediately start helping you fight. Or you can have active, where you have to make the immunity. And I think, okay, because I'm like, I don't really want to put T cells on you today. Yeah, okay, so then, we sometimes though, while bacteria are, certain bacteria and viruses, very awful, very scary, we also sometimes can have silly bodies, right? Silly lymphocytes that are just over anxiety, flip out about silly things that aren't really a danger. But our body perceives them as a danger, so that's just how it's gonna have to be, right? Hypersensitivity, allergy, okay? This is where you have an abnormal immune response to a harmless antigen. Pollen. Is pollen really out to kill you? No. But some people's bodies think it is out to kill them. I'm allergic to, anything dog, anything animal, right? My body thinks it's gonna murder me, right? So allergies, abnormal immune responses to harmless antigens, right? And especially, right, hypersensitivity is within minutes, right? If I am like, if I go to someone's house and they have their dogs there and I sit on their couch and there's fur on their couch, I actually will have a pretty good asthma attack within like 10 minutes. But what takes place? My body immediately, right, the allergy thing, right? Lots and lots of, which one releases histamines? Basophils, yes. Lots and lots of them, right? It's an ecto thing, right? It's an outside antigen, right? So they respond and they release lots of histamines, which causes swelling and blah, 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 right? Hence the not being able to like breathe as good, right? Lots and lots of it will take place and it will create histogenes. And this is a whole really cool lecture to learn about, but we don't have it. But just understand, right, that it will happen sometimes within minutes, or anybody in here, peanut allergy? Anybody in here peanut allergies? Sorry if it's like too embarrassing, you don't want to admit it or something.
My sister is.
Or yeah, peanut allergies, same things. Are peanuts gonna kill you? No. But your body could think it, right? That's a definite within minutes, within a couple minutes, right? Or like bee stings or something like that, right? And people are just too much and they need an EpiPen, right? Okay, that is just a response of chilling out these guys, right? Because sometimes your body gets a little bit too sensitive and a little bit too worried, okay? So, yeah, we have 5 minutes of class. I'm not going to put T cells on us today. Yeah?
I had a friend in elementary school who couldn't be with like 10 people, anything peanut. Like if it was just near him, not even contact, not any of that, ER.
Yes, because his body was, you literally, it's just silly. Like it thinks it's a death thing, and so it's going to create, right? It's going to send antibodies, it's going to basophils, it's going to go in like this full protect mode, and you're like, it's pollen, but that's just how your body goes, right? All right, so Here we go. Tomorrow, in your lab, I will discuss T cells for the first little bit, and then we are going to, of all the labs for you to miss, tomorrow is really not ideal, FYI. It's a big project. What you're going to do is we're going to have 5 different patients that we took their blood. You're not going to look at the patients, you're not going to look at their blood.